If you've ever bought a box of Chaos Space Marines or a box of Havocs, you've probably got some heavy bolters going spare. Possibly lots of them. The boxy shape of the receiver is a pretty good starting point if you want to make a Blastmaster. But if this is going to become a sonic weapon, we have to remember that sonic weapons typically shoot sound at people, and not bullets, so we're not really going to need that bullet belt. Plus the barrel pretty much gives it away as a heavy bolter instantaneously, so that's got to go too. It's a shame to lose a part with such crisp detail, so I'm going to carefully scalpel this one off the receiver and store it in a sealed container for later. Now that we've stripped the heavy bolter down to the receiver, it's time to severely hurt the resale value on this Tesla carbine. The handle's going, we're going to rip off the tip, just clear cut it right down to the receiver. Once the Tesla carbine has been reshaped, we can thrust its rigid form directly into the awaiting receiver of our heavy bolter, giving us the basic outline of our Blastmaster. Parts wise, this has been a pretty cheap conversion so far, so I'm gonna keep that trend going by throwing a flamer into the mix. This particular flamer comes with a standard Chaos Space Marine squad, and it's about to get pretty badly brutalized. We're gonna snip off the tip, and then begin reshaping it by snipping off the ignition tubes, along with this bit that kind of juts down from the flamer head. The result should be a rectangular flamer head with a flat back. Moving back to the receiver for a moment, we want to cut away the right hand and part of the lower receiver, which should leave us with something that almost looks like a long bolt pistol. When we take this wrecked flamer and attach it to the underside of our destroyed Tesla carbine, the receiver of the flamer should line up perfectly with the wide cylinder at the head of the Tesla carbine. We can already see where the slide beneath our Blastmaster is going to sit. I'm going to drill out the flamer tip and the nub on the mangled receiver, and then cut a piece of 2mm hollow plastic dowel to a length of 11mm. I'm going to quickly fill this tube with a small amount of green stuff, and then thrust a piece of paperclip straight down the centre. Constructing the slide itself is fairly simple. All we need to do is cut down some 3mm plastic dowel at a funny looking angle, and then simply slide it over the tube. When we tack all that together, it already kind of looks like a Blastmaster. Sort of. But before this beast is complete, we're going to need to do some work on the tip. I'm just going to roll up some green stuff, roll that flat, and then imprint the green stuff with a medium roll maker plate. The result should be all the loudspeaker textures we could ever need. Once the mixture is finally set, I'm going to turn this texture into strips that are about 8mm long and 2mm wide. Make sure to line that up nice and straight, as the last thing we want is a wonky speaker head at the end of our Blastmaster. Our speaker head is still looking a bit too skinny, so we're going to bulk it out a bit. This is a 6mm hole punch, and this is a mallet. When used together, they make quite an effective cookie cutter. Once we've got a handful of these neat looking textured discs, we're just going to lop the ears off a few of these, and see just how well they line up against the 2mm strip we made earlier. The 2mm strip in the centre is slightly thicker than the ears, giving our speaker head a kind of multi-level effect. This is definitely starting to resemble some sort of loudspeaker, but it still looks a little bit bare bones. So let's tie everything together by cutting some 6mm plasticard tube roughly into the shape of the tip of a las cannon, and then chucking it on our new speaker head like some sort of hat. It seems to cap off the rest of the weapon rather nicely. I was going to add some rivets to the slide and maybe some thin plasticard strips over the hood. There's tons of finishing touches we still need to add to this gun, but we'll get to all that in the next episode. The only problem I have now is that I don't really have that many Chaos Space Marines on hand. I've only got Havocs and the Chosen from Dark Vengeance going spare, and I don't really want to have to spend £35 on a brand new box of Chaos Space Marines just to finish this video. So let's just go with one of these thick boys for now. I've chosen to give our Noise Marine a helmet from a Custodian Guard. Custodies do have some of the best hair in all of 40k, plus their power armour is absolutely pimp, and while you might need to buy some angle snips, a hole punch and a small amount of plasticard, this isn't really a very difficult or time consuming conversion. All of this stuff is fairly cheap. You can get an angle cutter for a lot less than a tenner, and an entire hole punch set will probably set you back a £5. But absolutely most important of all, the 40k parts used in this conversion are some of the cheapest and most readily available parts online, and in all likelihood, if you're anything like me, you've already got a ton of these common parts just lying around gathering dust. I hope you found this short conversion video useful. If you've got any suggestions for future videos, then let me know in the comment section below.